Hi again, I'm Jill Blanchette with Green Thumb Stampers for my alternates to the paper pumpkin kit Welcome In that we got in June. I'm on my third alternate right now. That's what this video is. And here's the card that I made. It looks pretty simple, but it does have a few extra steps. So I've got a Blackberry Bliss base at 8.5 by 5.5. Go ahead and fold it in half or score it at 5.5, or sorry, score it at 4.25. Then I have a layer of Moody Mauve that is 5.25 by 4, and then I got a layer of Whisper or Basic White that I need to cut down. I decided I wanted it one more level down, so this one is 5 by 3.75. And why is it already 5 by 3.75? Did I need to go down one more? Yes, I need to go down to 3.5. And this one doesn't go wide enough, by 4.75. All right, then go ahead and glue those two pieces together. If you're going to use your green glue, be sure you give it time to dry so that we're going to emboss it. So we don't want any glue to seep out. So either you give it time to dry, use a minimal amount of glue, whatever you need to keep the glue from seeping out around the sides. So I'm going to emboss this, and I just used the embossing folder from the 3D Basics from the online exclusives. It's got like the little flowers on it. I'm going to use this for a couple cards today, or in these alternates. So I'm just going to put it in between the folder. So I'm going to put this sandwich through my large cut and emboss machine, and it's going to use the base plate and then the gray plate, because this is a 3D folder, so you want just your sandwich as that for our machine. So hang on a second. If you don't have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it should still work. Do not force anything through your machine. You'll want to adjust your plates, so take off like the different flaps and just keep taking things away to make it thinner until you can get it to go through comfortably. So I ran that with that die, and then we're going to glue that onto the front, or not a die, gosh guys, it was the embossing folder, and then we're just going to glue that onto the front. I am going to use, ew, I'm going to glue this onto the front with my green glue. When you get these bumpy folders, you will want to make sure that you do a decent amount of glue, because you got all the little grooves to work with. So you want to use a decent amount to make sure that it's got enough non-bumpy stuff to stick down. Okay. So stick that down real well. And now I'm going to let that dry. All right, so we're going to make our vases. So what I did, I took that scrap of Blackberry Bliss, and then I've got this die cut sheet, and I'm going to lay that vase down on there. And I've got the stamp with all the decorations on it and my Blackberry Bliss ink. And I'm going to try and I want to go like, I'm going to bring it down toward the bottom more so I don't have any paper showing. I want to bring my leaves and stuff up around the side. I'm going to try and get fancy. So again, I'm going to pull that down so my stamp doesn't get down there. So I'm just going to stamp that down on my vase. Then I'm going to quickly put some clear embossing powder on it while it's still wet. And don't worry that it's kind of all over because we're going to go and fix or do some more, but then I'm going to go and heat this. Then we're going to lay the template back down over the top like this. And then I've got some white ink, some Craft Whisper white ink, and just an itty bitty little brush. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some white in various spots on my vase. A little bit darker, then I'm going to go a little bit lighter just to accent it a little bit. Then I have a little bit of a cloth, and I'm going to wipe it again just to wipe off the ink from where I embossed already. Okay. And then I'm going to put my template back. And take my Versamark ink. And I'm going to drag it and tap it and do whatever you need to do to cover the vase with the Versamark. Go all down it. It doesn't look like I got it way up at the top. Okay. And then again, I'm going to just wipe off. No, I'm going to leave it. I think it'll be all right to double. It's going to wipe off my previous embossing again, but I'm just going to go ahead and fill my whole vase with my clear embossing powder. Let me heat it again. And then now I need to cut it out. There is no die for this one. And this is where it didn't really matter if I got the embossing powder off the sides, because I'm not going to, I'm cutting it out, so it didn't matter if it touched down in another spot because I'm cutting it out, and hopefully I will just cut that off. My light is there. Now we're going to do the smaller vase in our Moody Mauve. I have to be faster with this one because it's smaller. We don't want it to dry up on us too quick. That's good. It's not going to matter if that gets on there. So let me go heat this. This one I'm not going to cover in white. Maybe I will. I'll give it a little shot of white and see what we get. I thought I wanted to keep this one a little bit darker, but I'll do some white. So I'm going to line that back up on there. Like that. Get my white and my little tiny brush. See if I can get some down by the base. Drag it up a little bit. See if I can clean off my previous embossing a little bit. The white really dulled that embossing. Put our template back over the top. Get our Versamark. Keep moving it all over the place. Up here. Cover it with our Versamark. And then cover the whole thing again with our embossing powder. I'm going to go heat that. Now I got that one all set. And remember, we got our little die. So I will cut that out. With our die. Or not, because it's going to be, the die is too big because I used that template. So we won't be able to cut it out. So we're going to have to cut this by hand. So hang on while I do that. That's the beauty of changing things up while I'm in the process of making the card. They don't always work. So that's fine. I cut it. It's good to go. All right, now I got the card base again. And I have this ribbon that's left over from the Hope box that we got 2 years ago now. I can't remember exactly when we got it, but I think it was a couple years ago now. So I'm going to cut this, try and keep it because it was starting to fray on that end. So I'm going to just cut a piece to go across the front. Like there. And then I put a little bit of adhesive down through the center to kind of help hold that in place. That looks pretty good. And then I have a die. Just you can use any random dies that work for you that you have on hand. And I'm going to pop that up in the center. But first I'm going to use that Love and Happiness set. And I'm going to pick the To the Cutest Couple Ever out of it. Again, I need some wedding cards. And I'm going to use the Blackberry Bliss. Now you could also emboss that. That would be cute. Then I'm going to take the two vases And I think I'm going to pop them both up. This one I only popped up that vase, but I think on this card I'm going to pop up both of the vases. Just to see what it looks like. Get those off. There we go. Now I did not bring it over here, but if you have a light gray or like a C1 Copic marker, go ahead and ground the vases, put a little line underneath of them so that it doesn't look like they're floating in the air there. And then we're going to pop this up over the top of the ribbon. You don't have to, especially if you're mailing it. You might not want to. Sometimes if they dimensional things make them stick up too high, post office might not appreciate it. If you got a post office like mine, who knows when they're going to decide to charge you extra. And unfortunately, it's not the sender's fault. I think it's my post office that just randomly decides. So if you got a post office like mine, and they just randomly decide they want to charge extra, it's kind of stinky because the person that mailed it didn't know that you needed gonna have to pay extra. They probably wouldn't have done whatever it was that made it cost more. Sometimes if they're too thick, they're too stiff. Guy didn't get a long enough lunch break. All right. And then on the inside, I'm just going to put Wedding Wishes. So there's our third card for the June pumpkin kit.